Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. Today, I want to actually specifically talk about one thing, but it's applicable to other things as well. Unless you live under a rock, and that's very unlikely these days because we're surrounded by information, phones, internet, etc., TVs, whatnot. Although, who watches TV these days, really, except old people, right? Um, you might be aware that Linkin Park are coming back. They have an album coming out in mid-November, and of course, they have a new vocalist. Now, that's a woman. Her name is Emily Armstrong, and she's from another band called Dead Sarah. I listened to a few songs because I was curious about it, but I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea. But a lot of people, I mean, look, I'm on Facebook and like you can read the comments every time Linkin Park posts something. It's always, it seems that it's not really a fan base, but it's just people trying to kind of tear each other apart. Um, and it's not like the band is just doing like music, okay? That's it. They're not doing anything. It's really the fans who are kind of causing this chaos. And it's not just Linkin Park, okay? That's what I was saying. It's not just about them specifically. It's kind of about things in general, how things go in the world these days. It can be sports, it can be like anime, it can be TV shows, other musicians, etc., etc., etc. It really is everywhere. Um, and I think like this problem I was like again, I was thinking before I started this video, I was thinking like which angle should I approach this from? And I think I'm gonna hit it on from the side of toxicity. Now, look, I'm 41 now. I grew up mostly kind of in the 80s and 90s. And in those days, things like, I don't know, food allergies and uh relationship toxicity, that was just not a thing. I mean, yeah, it existed, sure. But I mean, as a kind of concept, as a term, it wasn't coined. So, of course, there were abusive relationships, of course, even going back hundreds, thousands of years, of course. But I just don't think the term was really coined. And yeah. And so I would actually recommend people go and search the definition of toxicity because it has several traits that make a person toxic. Okay? So for example, I'm not sure because I haven't read that list in quite a while, to be honest with you. I could open it up now. You know what? Let's do that very quickly. Why not? Uh, but I know a few of them. I know for sure a few. Okay, so there they are. Okay, so there's, for example, like manipulation. If somebody tries to manipulate you, like emotionally or other ways, they're definitely being toxic. Okay, gaslighting is another one. Passive aggression is another one. Dishonesty. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure because like for me dishonesty it's just dishonesty. It's not like, yeah, I can see it's a bit toxic but it's not necessarily toxic. Anyway, control. Yeah, so again, kind of manipulation, control, definitely. Always blaming, or maybe the other side of that is always playing the victim. So I think both of these are traits of toxicity. Jealousy, again, jealousy for me is more like dishonesty. It's kind of a thing on its own, really. It's not necessarily part of toxicity, but I can see why they included that in this list. Boundary violating, that's an interesting one. Always criticizing. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, and I'll come back to that in a second. Playing the victim is actually in here. Insincere apologies. So again, this happens like so often these days. Somebody does something, and they actually don't care. They don't really. I don't know. They just don't think about it. So they will say like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but actually, like, there's no weight to that apology whatsoever. These people don't feel any shame or guilt. Um, so yeah, controlling behaviors, okay. Arrogance, again, arrogance is more kind of like dishonesty, jealousy for me. It's kind of like outside of this. Selfishness, um, yeah, okay, sure. Isolation from others. I'm not sure how that one fits in there actually, because like I'm pretty isolated from others, but is that a toxicity trait? I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm not causing any harm to anybody. I mean, I'm alone, sure, but and that's my problem. But I'm not like blaming anyone for that. Physical violence, yes, for sure. Um, I mean, physical again, that always existed, right? But I think now, because it's part of this kind of umbrella term, toxicity, it's a bit easier to identify. And self-centeredness as well, lack of empathy, too judgmental, a feeling of entitlement, that's definitely toxic as shit. And yeah, negativity, yeah. But the one I want to really talk about is criticism, because coming back again to the Linkin Park example, so they have a new singer, female, and a lot of people in the comments, I would say, started to kind of attack her. I would say in at least probably 50% of the cases, just because she's a woman, guys. And, this is in 2024. We're blaming people because they have a vagina. That I can't understand. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, they always say like you have to try to understand both sides, but I can't understand the other side. I mean, one side is like normal, and then the other side is basically nuts. I'm not sure how you reconcile the two, or even if you should in the first place. So that's the first thing. And then a lot of people were saying, like, she's not good, and this was based on some kind of a few videos that were posted. By the way, these were like live videos, and a lot of the live videos were shot using like cell phones and stuff like that. So it's all kind of shaky, and the audio quality is terrible, of course. Um, that's what I never understood actually. Why people always record shit on their phones? I mean, the quality is terrible. So who's gonna watch that? For who are you making these videos? Like, and you can see that every time, like you watch a sports event or some kind of music concert, and like I have an old phone here, but everybody's standing like this, and it's like, of course, like because there's other people around, so like people are pushing each other, and like maybe the stand is rocking a little bit, so like you're gonna be shaking as well, and of course the audio quality sucks. Okay. um I mean, if it's just like one to one person, it's okay. If you're making a phone call and it's relatively quiet, it's okay. But if you go to like a live event and there's like thousands and thousands of people there, uh, you got plus the speakers are really, really loud. Um, they're just like kind of out of the capacity of a cell phone. Okay. So they're going to blow out the sound, and it sounds like shit. So why people record, I have no idea. Like, who's gonna watch these videos? Like, who's watching these videos? I really wonder. Why don't you watch things with your eyes instead of through a camera? You know, like if I pay for a ticket, I want to look with my eyes. I want to absorb the spectacle with my eyes. I don't want to watch it through a camera. So anyway, that's really weird. But yeah, so a lot of people attacking her because she's a woman, just because she's a woman. Some people, like I said, mentioned that they said she was not good, but this was based on kind of the very first videos that they were releasing. Maybe like, I'm not sure, maybe like August 2024, around there. I'm talking about the kind of very first one, not the ones that are edited and actually with corrected audio. Okay. So yeah, like, but in that case, you know what I will say? Uh, most, like, I would say like 99.9% of such videos shot with a cell phone at a live event suck. So does that mean that every like everybody sucks then? Because you have to be fair. You can't just say like, oh yeah, this is bad, but you have to look at other such content, and it's all the same, okay? Like the quality is going to be all the same. Shaky, bad audio, people talking around. Um, it's not a nice experience, and this applies to everybody. So you have to be fair in that case. If you say like she sucks because of these few bad videos, um, you have to say that then like everybody sucks because it's the same thing. Okay. Um, some other people said that they were upset because it's like they still operate under Linkin Park, under the name Linkin Park, and they said, well, yeah, they should have just like renamed the band or something, like made a new band basically, and stuff like that. But you see, this is like what I'm talking about. This is the toxic behaviors out there. And because now we understand about toxicity and what it implies, we can actually see that, holy shit, there's a lot of fucking toxic people out there. And by the way, I'll make one more comment here, and this one is quite important. A lot of these comments, like, overwhelming majority, I would say, comes from men. Now, for people who have been watching my channel for a while, they know that I'm not fond of men in general, okay? Yeah, sure, there are some good guys, and I certainly consider myself one of them. But there are also a lot of garbage guys out there. And you know the kind I mean. These are the people who like hang out in like video chat rooms, and they say pretty much like the first woman they see there, they will say like, hey baby, and like start to catfish. Or like people, like I remember one case. I was coming back once from Tokyo on the train. I was with like a little bit older guy with me coming back, because we had a meeting at that day. We're coming back, and so we're just standing because there was no seat available. So we're standing, and he's basically like, he's married, by the way. I mean, I don't know, at the time he was married. I don't know about now, because like many years have passed. I don't talk to the guy anymore. So I don't know. Anyway, so he's married in real life. So he's standing there, and he's basically scanning. I can see like his head just kind of like on a swivel, like he's scanning around, he's looking around, and then like he turns back to me and he says, oh wow, like look at her sitting over there. I would like definitely like go out with her or something like that, he said. And I'm just thinking like, that's just so weird. I mean, this is like kind of very like a primitive male thing. I see beautiful female, so my primal urges are engaged. Ho, 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 ho. And I'm just thinking that that's not going to win you any points, guys. I mean, this is a problem today, because a lot of these guys later complain that they can't find a woman, they can't find a girlfriend, etc. They can't find a wife, they can't get married. Well, yeah, uh, because you're fucked up. Like, of course, no woman is gonna go out, get together with a fucked up guy. I mean, I wouldn't if I was a woman. It's just common sense. So the problem is not the women, and the problem is you and how you view women as these kind of objects of pleasure, or you know people who just belong in the kitchen or something like that. Guys, it's your fault. You're doing that to yourself. So unless you change, then yeah, nothing's going to change in your life. You're going to be single. I'm sorry to say that, but it's just the reality. So this kind of like criticism, negativity, a lot of these people, so what happens is that they, you see, like, because I'm an artist as well, I write books, I make artwork, By the way, you can check out the links in the description. There's a lot of cool stuff there. Go and have a look. I think a lot of people who criticize artists in general, they actually are not. I'm quasi sure that they are not artists themselves. Okay, so they don't understand what it takes to be an artist. They don't. Maybe they have like no creativity whatsoever. I know some people like that. I mean, I know some people who literally have no creativity whatsoever, and they admit that themselves. It's not like my opinion. It's not my guess. They told me about that. So okay, uh, but it's very easy to criticize sitting on some couch somewhere when you yourself have never done anything like that. Um, Try to make something. I mean, just go through the process, see how hard it is, and let's say that let's say like you just made some kind of short film, okay? Just as an example. So you made this short film, maybe 5-10 minutes long. You got some friends to be your actors or whatever, and then you put it online and maybe you show it to your family or whatever, and you just get like obliterated, okay? Because yeah, it's shit, and like the audio quality is bad, and like the acting is amateurish, and all of that. But maybe while you were making that film, though, you didn't get that impression. Maybe you thought you're the next Spielberg, You're making that amazing thing, and then you face the harsh reality, and that your thing is actually not very good at all. So in that case, you have kind of two options. Now, one thing is you can, of course, accept the criticism. You can see the point of view, like where people are coming from. Most likely, if it's like your first short film, most likely they're right. Most likely it's just not good. Or you can go the other route and you can say, you know what? Actually, I'm great. I'm amazing. I'm fantastic. And this is like the best movie ever. And everybody else is wrong. And this is probably the worst attitude you can have. And if you have such an attitude, I would say that if you're like in the movie industry, you're not going to go far. It's just not how it works, guys. It's just not how it works. You might feel kind of good by yourself, being kind of this arrogant prick, but that's not going to fly in the industry. Nobody wants people like that at the end of the day. Why? Because it's toxicity, and nobody wants to be around toxic people. That's just the way it is. So yeah, I would just say, look, to conclude, it's fine, of course, to not like some content. It's okay. But in the case of Linkin Park, though, I have this feeling that a lot of people like Chester, and so do I. I thought he had a unique kind of voice. It had a unique texture and everything. And obviously he was quite a character. And all of that I agree with. Okay, so uh, don't like put me in a corner of some kind of hater. I'm really not. But I feel like a lot of people fell in love with him and not necessarily the band. They actually started thinking almost like a kind of religion, like a cult, that Chester is Linkin Park. But in reality, of course, it's not like that at all. Chester was a part of Linkin Park. You still had Mike, you still had Joe, and other people around, and they were making the music, writing the lyrics, mixing it up, etc., etc. So yeah, he was a part of the band, and it's fine to like him, but he was not equal to the entire band, and that's very, very important. And so with Emily now, she is not there, okay? And this was, look, this is a point that I think people just don't want to. They don't care. Basically, they don't want to listen. But this is the reality, guys. She, of course, like just even by logical thinking, of course, she's not Chester. That's obvious, okay? And she's not there to replace Chester. She's not a like for like replacement. If they wanted a like for like replacement, they would have found some guy who maybe had like a similar range, let's say, but they wanted to go in a new direction. And I I'm all for kind of positive change. Sometimes it can be negative change. I mean, my one of my favorite bands before the dawn, like a metal band from Finland, I think. I actually like their old materials. I really like their old materials. It was really kind of deep and philosophical almost, and this kind of exploration of the inner self. And then they kind of, maybe, I don't know why, but did it become more commercial? I'm not sure, but it just changed. It just changed, and um, I don't feel the connection with their recent collection, let's say the recent albums anymore. I still like check them out, but like as an example, if you're talking about an old album, I could enjoy maybe 5 or 6 songs. From the new albums, at best, I enjoy like one song. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's still the same band. Well, that's not really true actually either, because they did change the members, so it's not really the same thing. But just in my opinion, that was kind of an example of a negative evolution, because they kind of lost the hardcore fans like me, like, who like the more kind of deep philosophical things. And also, like, the songs back then were different. I mean, they had two singers basically. Yeah, they had a growler, and they had a more kind of regular singer. So if you can't hear the growls, you can still listen to the regular singer, and you can still understand what the song is about. Now it's pretty much just kind of growling and shouting, and I'm like, okay, I don't know, like I really have to focus to catch the words, and it's just not the same thing. But I think, like with Linkin Park, I think that's an example of a positive evolution. I've listened to 2 songs so far from the new album, the Emptiness Machine, and um, what's the other one? Over something, something like it's the last one. I don't remember the title. Something over, and she's good. Okay, like she's a good singer. So I don't know why people are complaining, but I think this is just some kind of, maybe a weird religious cult mentality. You know, like they have the cult of Chester, and look, that guys, we can't change the past. The guy is gone. Okay, so he's not coming back. The only way you can see him again, maybe, is if you go to heaven yourself. Apart from that, I don't really understand what people want, because if people say wanted like a like for like, okay, I just think that the moment that the new guy would sing something like off tune a little bit or a little bit wrong, he would just get crucified by those people. Even Chester got crucified, actually, to a certain extent, for the last albums, because the last albums were much more mellow and just very, very different. And a lot of people already were starting to blame them in those days. Okay. So I don't know, guys, but you have to figure yourselves out, and check out the traits of toxicity. There's actually a lot of them. Maybe some of them even apply to you. And in that case, you know what? I just say, like, you have to work on them, because these are not good traits. None of them are good. And you can say that, well, other people are like that too. Okay, well, other people are assholes. That doesn't mean that you have to be an asshole too. You know what I mean? So, yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for my video. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.